fabled heat, where magic meets desire. Subscribe to ignite the fantasy.
The stench of damp earth and iron clung to the back of my throat, a metallic tang that coated my tongue. I pressed my palm against the cracked spine of the grimoire, the aged leather cool and brittle beneath my touch. Moonlight, fractured by the skeletal remains of stained glass windows, sliced through the ruins of the abandoned chapel, painting the stone floor in silver and shadow. The glyphs I'd carved, painstaking recreations from fragmented texts, glowed faintly, pulsing with a borrowed energy. A revival circle. Last used 3 centuries ago, they said, by the order of the Silver Dawn, healers now dust and legend. The vampire crumpled at my feet, a pathetic heap of decaying finery. Its fangs, long and yellowed, glinted like shattered glass in the moonlight. A low, guttural hiss escaped its lips, a sound that vibrated through the stone. "You'll regret this, hunter," it rasped, the voice a dry whisper of malice. I didn't hesitate. Doubt was a luxury I couldn't afford. Not tonight, not with the weight of so many lost souls pressing down on me. My fingers trembled, not with fear, but with the sheer force of the power I was about to unleash. I began to recite the old tongue, the words ancient and resonant, each syllable a key unlocking a forgotten power. They tasted like ashes and honey on my tongue, a strange, unsettling combination. The spell surged through me, electric and cold, a river of energy that threatened to overwhelm my senses. My vision blurred, the chapel walls seeming to breathe around me. The vampire's body jerked violently, limbs flailing, its eyes wide with a terror that felt satisfying. Then stillness, complete and utter stillness, dead, permanently dead. I let out a shaky breath, the tension draining from my muscles. It was done. But then the ground shuddered, a deep, resonant tremor that ran through the very foundations of the chapel. My heart leaped into my throat. This wasn't right. The revival circle wasn't supposed to do that. Across the circle, the lifeless body of Sir Kalen, a knight I'd failed to save just hours earlier during the raid on Blackwood Keep, gasped awake. His chest rose and fell with a ragged, desperate rhythm. His eyes flew open, hazel, flecked with gold and shockingly, vividly alive, and locked onto mine. "Who the hell are you?" he croaked, his voice rough as gravel, raw with disuse. He tried to sit up, wincing in pain, and I instinctively reached for a healing poultice, then stopped. This wasn't a healing, it was something else. Kale, his name came back to me in a rush, along with a flood of memories. The infuriatingly skilled mercenary who'd tried to steal my bounty last week, the man with a smirk that could melt glaciers and a talent for disappearing into shadows, the man who should have stayed dead. The vampire's warning echoed in my skull, a chilling premonition. The revival spell wasn't a resurrection. It was a toggle, a cruel, cosmic switch, and I'd just flipped Kale's fate. The next day, the reports started trickling in, then flooding the channels. Hospitals began reporting anomalies, comatose patients waking only to flatline moments later, terminal illnesses vanishing only for healthy victims to drop dead mid-sentence, clutching their chests in agony. A young mother, cured of a decades-long lung disease, collapsing while watching her daughter's dance recital. An elderly man pulled back from the brink of a stroke, succumbing to a sudden heart attack. The connection was undeniable, horrifyingly clear. Every time I used the spell to kill, someone else lived. A cosmic balance, a curse disguised as power. Kale refused to leave my side, his presence a constant, unsettling weight. He haunted the edges of my vision, a silent observer, his gaze intense and unwavering. "You're responsible for this," he'd growled, cornering me against the moss-strewn wall of a derelict alchemy shop, the scent of dried herbs and forgotten potions thick in the air. But his grip lacked force, his breath warm against my cheek. It wasn't the grip of an accuser, but of someone tethered. "We fix it together." The forced proximity chafed, a constant reminder of the precarious situation we were in. And yet, when his calloused hand brushed mine while deciphering ancient texts in the dusty library of a forgotten monastery, or when he shielded me from a revenant strike during a scouting mission, his blood smearing my sleeve with a dark, coppery stain, I didn't pull away. I found myself lingering over the touch, the scent of him, wood smoke and steel, and something wild and untamed filling my senses. We tracked the disturbances to an underground syndicate, known only as the Obsidian Hand, harvesting the spell's backlash, trading lives like currency. They were using the energy released by the deaths to power forbidden rituals, to extend their own lives, to amass unimaginable power. And their leader, my estranged mentor, Ilara, the woman who had taught me everything I knew about magic, her once kind eyes now hollow with greed and ambition. "You think you're saving them," she sneered, gesturing to rows of unconscious bodies tethered to pulsating runes in a vast, cavernous chamber beneath the city. The air thrummed with dark energy, and the stench of decay was overwhelming. Every life you take fuels theirs, a game you'll never win. That night, huddled around a flickering candle in a safe house, Kale's fingers interlaced with mine under the rough-hewn table, a silent promise passing between us. His thumb traced circles on my knuckles, igniting a wildfire under my skin. The simple touch sent a shiver down my spine, a dangerous warmth spreading through my veins. "We'll burn it all down," he murmured, his lips grazing my ear, his voice a low rumble that sent goosebumps erupting across my arms. "Then you'll decide my fate." The final confrontation reeked of ozone and betrayal. Alara's lair, a cathedral of stolen lives, built on a foundation of suffering, shook as we shattered her runes, bodies waking and dying in macabre rhythm, a chaotic dance of life and death. Kale lunged to block her dagger aimed at my throat, his movements swift and precise, honed by years of battle. But the blade slipped past his guard, sinking into his gut instead. "No," the scream tore from me, raw and primal, as he collapsed, his body hitting the stone floor with a sickening thud. Alara fled, laughing, her voice echoing through the collapsing chamber. The spells told demanded balance. To save him, I'd have to kill someone, anyone, but the thought was paralyzing. Kale's blood pooled around us, staining the stone a dark crimson. His hand, slick with blood, cupped my face, his touch surprisingly gentle. "Arya, don't." His smile was faint, bittersweet, a ghost of the man I'd known. "Not for me." But the grimoire was already in my hands, the pages falling open to the familiar incantation. My voice, a hollow echo of its former self, began to recite the old tongue. The world went white, blinding and all-consuming. When the light faded, Kale's chest was still. His eyes, once vibrant with life, were now vacant and cold. And somewhere in a hospital room miles away, a monitor flatlined, a single, unwavering line signaling the end of another life. The balance had been restored, but at what cost?